How do you transform an abandoned chapel into a sophisticated house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial wonders to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
The original wall has come away from the chapel.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
That isn't going to happen until next year, never mind 3 weeks' time.
It's absolutely barreling down.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
Today, a couple takes a massive leap of faith as they attempt the monumental challenge of transforming this colossal, crumbling church.
Initially, when we took it on, it was just falling apart.
Which has been neglected and empty for over 20 years.
If you'd have said to me 12 months ago, you'll live in a caravan in a graveyard, it'd be like, no, no way.
As we went up there, we discovered that that column was really just sat on soil, which to us was a bit scary.
They have ambitious plans.
If it pushes down onto these sliding doors at all, the sliding doors won't slide.
To rebuild and reconfigure this vast religious relic.
Yeah.
Oops, I'm in.
Into a magnificent, one-of-a-kind family home.
That is just perfect.
In Denol, West Yorkshire, electrician Shaun and scrapyard owner Debs have recently got married, and they've been looking for a large home where they can entertain their extended family, including 5 children and 5 grandchildren.
We decided we needed a family home that was going to be ours together, a new start.
We did think about buying a plot of land to build us own house. We just didn't want to be the same as everybody else. We just wanted something unique, didn't we?
We did.
They abandoned the idea of building a brand new home from scratch when they found this extraordinary historic building on the market.
We heard the church was up for sale, and when we took a look at it, well, Debs cried. We just fell in love with the architecture of the building, and once you come inside and see the inside as well, we didn't think of anything else other than this is the future.
The church went up for auction in September 2017, and Debs and Shaun snapped it up for a mere £85,000.
It was obviously for our forever home to build something a little bit different, but also to return the building back to its former glory, because it was been empty for 20 years and in such a sad state that it was such a shame to see such a beautiful building just literally falling apart.
St Paul's Denholm was constructed in 1846 and is Grade 2 listed. The church is built from local gritstone and is considered a Gothic masterpiece, with gargoyles, buttresses, lancet windows, and a steeple that soars over 36 metres tall. The internal footprint is 450 square metres, and in its day could hold a congregation of 700 people. The church closed in 1997 when part of the ceiling collapsed. Luckily, no one was hurt. Its final service was held outside in the grounds 2 years later. 3,000 people have been laid to rest in the graveyard, which will remain open to the public so they can pay their respects. Some might say St Paul's resembles a mini cathedral. The outer walls and inner pillars were built on footings, and the internal stone floor laid directly onto the ground to house a 7-bay nave for the congregation with aisles either side. Through the arches are bays with extra seating for big events. At the front of the church is the chancel, which houses the altar and seating for the choir. There's a gallery at the back above the entrance, which is known as the narthex. Behind that is the imposing West Tower, that they hope to reconfigure into additional accommodation at a later date. Shaun and Debs paid £85,000 for this incredible church. It might not sound a lot, but it's literally falling apart, so it could be a money pit. Debs and Shaun are certainly brave, but they've got big plans to create a contemporary house within the 450 square metre footprint of this historical masterpiece, and they intend to salvage any original features and reuse them elsewhere in the build.
Well, initially, when we purchased the building, it was with planning permissions and plans, but they were very basic plans. So we approached an architect that had actually designed previous church buildings. And we had a set of ideas, didn't we, that we wanted. But the architects have been absolutely fantastic in encompassing everything we wanted, as well as some really groundbreaking design, and retaining all the architecture of the church without interfering with any of the nice windows or arches.
The outside will be repaired but not modified. They're planning to bring the building into the 21st century and make it eco-friendly by adding solar panels over the chancel. They will remove part of the crumbling roof to create a private courtyard and a main entrance to the building on the south side. Inside, they have ambitious plans. There will be an entrance lobby, and off to the left, a lounge that leads on to a study. Behind the lobby, there will be storage and a downstairs toilet. Then, to the right, the kitchen. That will lead onto a dining room, and beyond that, there will be another lounge. A floor will appear to float above the kitchen. On the new first floor, they plan to build 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. On the top floor, there will be a luxurious master suite, complete with walk-in wardrobe and bathroom. St Paul's is a magnificent building, and Shaun and Debs are clearly determined to transform it into their dream home. They have set aside a maximum budget of £400,000. But the cost of converting such a cavernous structure into a home should not be underestimated. And while £400,000 might sound a really healthy budget, it could easily get eaten up if they find any structural issues at all. Shaun's taken 2 years off work to rebuild this historic relic. To save money, he and Debs are living in a caravan in the graveyard. Before they can even begin to transform the church into a home, they must make the structure safe, and that means starting at the top with the main roof.
We've been on the roof, working on the roof now for about 4 months. We did the main roof first, because that was the one that was most precarious. This is the north aisle roof, and is by far the worst roof as in structural damage. So we've had to remove all the timber from this roof, all the trusses, all the purlins and rafters, replace all those, and now we're just currently reslating the roof with as much of the original slate as we can use.
The roof damage was so bad it triggered part of the ceiling inside to collapse. And worse still, the weight of the collapsing roof caused the outer walls to spread.
The sheer weight of the slate and the ceiling pulling down the roof actually caused it to push the walls out by about 40 millimetres.
Any additional weight on the roof could have been catastrophic.
If we'd had a fall of snow, it would have pushed these walls out and it would have collapsed. There would have been no church left.
They used timber to brace either side of the cracks to stop the walls from splaying further.
We had to make sure that these walls were tied in.
They also tied together around 2,000 steel poles to form a giant scaffold to create additional support.
We've managed to get steelwork in to support the original roof trusses. The legs of the roof trusses, some of them had gone away with the rot, so we've managed to cut that out and replace them where necessary.
Just making this huge structure safe is a massive challenge, and the monumental task of transforming it into a home has yet to begin. It's 9 months since work on the rebuild began. The main roof of the church and ceiling is now structurally sound, so they removed the scaffolding from the inside. They've also installed solar panels for sustainable power.
It's a hybrid system, so we have a battery system during the day. Hopefully these will run the building no problem. Any excess generated electricity is stored in the batteries. And then obviously when the sun's gone in, we're not generating, we can use that battery power to run the rest of the building.
Bit by bit, Shaun is making progress. Just over 4 miles away in Halifax, Debs is also hard at work at her scrap metal recycling plant.
I'm obviously working here, earning the coin, as they say. I'm earning the money to carry on forward with the renovation.
Debs and her team process 80,000 tonnes of waste metal every year at this vast 20,000 square foot site, which also conveniently has plenty of storage.
Because we're living in a caravan at the moment, the stuff for the house seems to be everywhere for the church. So up here, we've got our bed for the master bedroom and our ensuite. Upstairs is our pews from the church, which will be hopefully made into our kitchen, dining table. This container here is full of our furniture from when we sold our other property to be able to manage and pay for the church. I can't wait to empty that because I actually can't remember what's in it.
At St Paul's, the team gears up to undertake structural repairs on the church's foundations. Back in 1846, only the outer walls and internal columns were built on foundations, so Shaun must lay footings to support all new internal walls and floors. First, Shaun must remove a number of huge stones from the south wall to create a big enough gap to squeeze a digger through. Once inside, workers must dig 2-metre trenches for the foundations. Then they must pour 30 cubic metres of concrete into the trenches. Once set, they'll build 3-metre tall walls to house the ground floor and prop up the upper floors. It takes a week to remove 20 tonnes of soil from the church.
This tide mark here is the actual original floor level. So you can see how much we've had to take out with the digger. And it also exposed the bottoms of the columns. We have a huge stone, then another huge stone, and that is supporting that column, and that's supporting part of the church.
The excavation also unearthed something rather worrying under one of the church's supporting columns.
You probably notice that some of these actually stood on stones, small stones stuck together with lime mortar. But as we went up there, we discovered that that column was really just sat on soil, which to us was a bit scary.
Soil is not a stable foundation. It doesn't bond and set like lime mortar and stones. The weak footing could give way at any moment and cause the building to collapse like a house of cards, leaving Shaun and Debs' dreams in tatters. Giving themselves 2 years to complete this ambitious project, Shaun and Debs are living in a caravan on site until they can move in.
If you just said to me 12 months ago, you'll live in a caravan in a graveyard, I'd be like, no way. But no, it doesn't faze me, it doesn't bother me, it's just easier because we're on site. You know, we're not going to be here forever, so as soon as it's habitable, we'll be in the church.
But there's a lot more to do before they can even think about moving in, especially as they've unearthed a problem with the foundations under one of the columns, which Shaun needs to fix before the build can continue.
It's a voyage of discovery for us. Nobody knew what was underneath here. The last people to see what was under here were the people that actually dug the original footings for the church.
That was nearly 180 years ago. To solve this problem, Shaun has dug a trench around the pillar for even more concrete.
We put about 2 cubic metres of concrete, just poured it in to stabilise all of this area. And then we continued to work digging out the rest of the church.
Laying the new foundations and walls takes great precision and skill. The new floor joist will sit on top of these walls and the floor needs to run level throughout.
685. Just 7. That's all right. Good. We've got to run straight across there, haven't we, to that one?
Some of the walls will rise up above the joist to create the new rooms.
The more work we do, obviously, it's evolving and everything's changing because it started to show that it's becoming a home and not just a big open church.
Reconfiguring vast historic structures like this church into something homely is a huge challenge on many fronts, but it does provide an opportunity to create a one-of-a-kind living space. In Kent, this equally cavernous 1930s water purification plant was transformed into a glamorous home 4 years ago by Jeff Lowe and his wife Monica.
It's obviously an Art Deco style building, but equally it has a kind of look of a contemporary sort of architect design,
Modern.
Californian
California.
building. Everybody in the area knows it, and it's a bit of a sort of landmark.
It might look sleek and minimal outside, but inside they've created a living space crammed with extraordinary features and detail.
This part of the house was the first part that we did. When we bought it, it was very, very cold, very bleak, water coming through
there was
the
rain, water
roof.
coming in through the roof.
This is the original cast iron staircase that would have been part of the original building, going right up the top. I think the staircase is important because it's so much part of the original building, and it just feels so right where it is. This room we use as a living room, sometimes dining room. It's got this enormous shape in the middle of the room, which could be considered to be quite difficult to work with. But actually, we quite like it because it means that the room can be configured in different sorts of areas.
Yeah. It's very creative, and it has a nice flow when you're walking around.
Being able to see through from all of these windows. It's got this incredible sense of light. It's a really cozy room. I think the outside of the building feels a little bit like a castle. It has this sort of impregnable presence, and I think people are very happy that something has happened because it was derelict for so long.
At St Paul's, it's taken Shaun and the team 2 months to lay the ground floor timber joists, build the walls to support the first floor, and install the support beams for the top floor. And they're now 11 months into their 2-year build.
We're getting to the point where all these walls going up, we're outlining each room. We get to now see the layout, which Debs will be over the moon about, I'm sure.
The plan is to build 2 more floors above the kitchen, whilst leaving the dining area open to the vast high ceiling of the church. To do this, they need precision engineering to build what looks like a floating floor.
Can we run straight across there to bring that in narrower?
The key support will be a load-bearing 3-metre steel post. They'll need to secure this to the ground floor with steel bolts that are set with resin. One end of each of the 2 steel beams will sit on top of the post. The other ends will rest on the new internal walls built to house the kitchen. They will lay new joists between the beams to form the floor above, then build walls along the beams to create the bedrooms. If the beam fails, the floors will collapse, so it's vital that they get this crucial part of the build right.
You ready?
The supporting steel column has been made off-site to exact measurements. Shaun works with engineer Gordon Whittaker and builder Matt Flesher to install the column.
Back to you a bit more, actually. And that's snug to the sides. Right.
Well, that's dead plumb. The important thing is to get this in the right place, because everything is obviously attached to this, so it has to be absolutely bang level, in the right place in relation to the rest of the build.
They use steel bolts and resin to anchor the column to the concrete base.
Wait for that to cure.
That is spot on. Perfect.
Once the timber floor joists arrive, they can start building the upper 2 floors. But they are a year into their 2-year schedule, and St Paul's is still a long way off from becoming a home. Transforming this Gothic church into a sumptuous 3-bedroom family home is a massive challenge. The footprint inside is a whopping 450 square meters. It's so vast, they've decided to phase the work and complete some of it at a later date. Shaun and Deb's calm approach to this build is impressive. It's easy to become overwhelmed by a project of this scale. Shaun's next challenge is to remove the roof of the south aisle to create a private, open courtyard.
Once this is removed, it's not being replaced, but that's the final stage of the roof work, which is just to remove that and then leave it off.
It's now winter. Pummeling rain, snow, and freezing temperatures make the already challenging outdoor construction work even tougher. It's a dirty and relentless battle to remove the roof over the south aisle. By removing the roof, Debs and Shaun will create an impressive Venetian-style open courtyard that will give them the private outdoor space this home deserves. They're also removing part of the wall on the south side to create a new main entrance. It's now 18 months into the build. With the roof of the south aisle removed and the walls opened up, this grand old church is ready for some 21st century design, with sleek, thermally innovative windows. There are 57 in total, and some are huge. They cost nearly £95,000, and they're being built off-site at this specialist workshop by Andrew Stedman's team.
It is quite a big job. Just with it being such an old building, we've got to fit all the windows measure them all the right sizes, and some of the walls aren't quite straight. Things can go wrong.
Andrew's team uses specialist software to program the machines which cut the glass and framework.
Once it's been programmed upstairs, it gets sent down to the saw, and then hopefully it should cut it all off to the right size. It's quite a fancy machine, and it does all the slots and saves a lot of time for us on the shop floor. Before we used to do these by hand, but now the new machinery makes it so much easier.
They slot the sections of frame together, ready for the glass.
We put all the sealants on and everything, and then we make it into a frame, which will get sent up to Denham, and then we'll fit the windows up there, and then put the glass in them.
At St Paul's, snow and rain bear down on Shaun and Debs. The new windows couldn't arrive at a better time.
Right, I'll leave you to it.
Cheers.
No problem. Usually we've done everything ourselves here, but this is a specialist job. It's more cost-effective to let these guys do it, and for a change, sit back and watch somebody else do it.
Spin it right round. Whee! Come top in first. All right, that's it.
Oh, it's going to be fun, this.
The windows are double glazed and designed to help with thermal efficiency,
1, 2, 3.
keeping the heating costs of this huge home as low as possible.
These panes of glass, I'm being told, are about 230 kilograms each. So that's a big lift, is that? The steelwork's all in place that should take that weight. Fingers crossed. It's the deflection more than anything. The deflection on the middle of the steel, if it pushes down onto these sliding doors at all, the sliding doors won't slide. There's just very little tolerance. Christmas this year will be here. We will be having Christmas dinner there. Fingers crossed now.
It takes 2 full days and precise positioning to fit the windows.
That's it, that's as far as you could go.
Got it in. Looking good. Feeling very optimistic now.
Like it?
Love it.
Yeah? It's well done, it?
Yeah. Gonna miss that draft.
Because we're just getting...
When the snow was blowing through.
Who's going to clean them?
Well, we've got a long pole for that. It's looking good. It's more impressive than I thought it was going to be.
I'll bring it in slowly.
Moment of truth now. What do you want, a hammer? Doesn't seem to go together, does it? A hammer and glass.
Stop going in, Ross.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It fits. Relief.
Tight. Tight like a vice.
That now is a big relief. That's a big part of the build. There's 57 windows, all different shapes and sizes to fit. They've done very, very well. That could have gone so wrong. It's the biggest piece of glass we have in the building. And it's days like this when you think it's really all worth all this blood, sweat and tears. It's a lovely day today. Sun shining, a bit nippy, but it'll be a bit warmer now we've got windows in. I think I'll celebrate tonight now.
Shaun and Debs are now 22 months into their 2-year build, and the church is finally starting to resemble a home. They're paving the courtyard and laying slabs around the entrance.
The guys have done an absolutely sterling job of using all the stone that was originally part of the floor of the church. So it's great, as we use these stones, we find little markings, we find little holes, and it's great to look back on the history of the church and know that every time we come in this courtyard, part of the original church is here outside in the courtyard.
We're trying to save as much of the flag as we can. These are the real deal. They're probably one of the most expensive types of paving you can get today, and they are very sought after. They're obviously York stone, sandstone. If you go to a stone yard, you can be £100 a metre plus VAT. Just at a rough guess, well, you'd be 10 to 15 grand worth of stone. The flags are dearer than labour, which is unusual. We're proud to be part of laying them and bringing them back to life. That's how it's done. The jobs are good and another one down.
The outside is almost complete. Debs has a rare day off work to help Shaun fit the railings to the balcony inside.
We're coming to the part of the build now where we're sort of getting to the end of it, the finishing touches. We're really looking forward to this part. All the massive jobs have been done. These jobs are hopefully more rewarding. It's quite exciting because I'm working with Debs, doing a bit of hands-on work.
I'm the boss lady, as they call me at work.
They do, don't they?
Don't they?
Would you hold that, please, for me darling wife?
Oh, yes, sir. Soon.
Now, back to you. We more or less mimicked the railings outside by doing this balustrade. Looking across there, it almost matches the gallery. We're very happy, aren't we, with it?
Yep.
Very happy.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Oops. I'm in.
You in?
Yep.
They've battled brittle brickwork and brutal weather across the whole 2 years to transform this fragile building. Now they're nearing the end game when they can leave their caravan behind to finally move in.
That is just perfect.
The relentless yet rewarding task of saving this Gothic masterpiece has finally come to an end. It's hard to imagine this historic church was about to collapse into the ground when Shaun and Debs took it on. They've not only saved the structure, but built a brand new home inside, and the end result is tremendous. The whole roof has been repaired, all the lead work has been redone, and all the windows have been replaced. Not just along the main body of the church, but right up into the top of the tower. Now that's attention to detail, because you could have quite easily left those rooms. It just makes you realise the epic scale of this undertaking. The open courtyard gives this grand building the private outside space it truly deserves, and also a sneak peek of what's to come inside. The design idea of keeping one of the aisles completely open and then slotting the house inside really works. You get the sense of the modern house inside the main body of the church, but it also reveals the skeleton of the old building. Shaun has relaid beautiful York stone paving from inside the church, planted a small garden and made a water feature. This picks up on the idea of the garden as a little bit of paradise on earth. And it's just as impressive as soon as you walk in. The ground floor is so vast, they have 2 sitting rooms. One is to the west of the lobby. It's so big, Shaun's motorbikes look like an art installation.
It is a temporary bike garage, unfortunately, but I think they look nice, so very nice. We've restored the gallery back to its former glory.
It's just the chilled out area, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's great to draw the doors back. We've got the courtyard there with the running water.
The living space they use the most is on the other side of the entrance, starting in the kitchen.
So this is our wonderful kitchen. I'll let Debs tell you about her wonderful space.
It's just a really, really nice space, and
Yes.
it's, you know, the size of it. I didn't think I'd ever have a kitchen this big.
We tried to make the biggest kitchen we could so that everybody could be in here and nobody was left out.
They've carefully selected modern fittings that complement the grand original features which date back to 1846, and the result is truly breathtaking.
The fireplace being the focal point of the room, and in winter it's lovely. Even though it's such a big area with the fire, everybody seems to huddle around. It's lovely and cosy.
Opening up the walls to create space for the enormous windows lets the light flood in. And they're double glazed with aluminium frames, a state-of-the-art design for optimal thermal efficiency, keeping the cold out and the warmth in, transforming the once drafty church into a warm, inviting home.
We had family here for Christmas. We had Christmas dinner here, and it was lovely.
And they've worked hard to reclaim and repurpose original features.
There's the pews from in here.
And the table actually is part of the floor that we took up that was on the old stone flags. It must have been, for instance, for the choir to stand on so they didn't get cold feet. The table was the only bit of timber we could save from the floor. Every other bit of timber we took up.
That's an ingenious way of salvaging some of the original materials. Beyond the dining area is the second lounge, which is in the chancel, so takes advantage of the high and ornate ceilings.
The whole brief to the architect was to keep the architecture of the church there. So whatever we built inside the church, we could still see wherever we were in the building, it was a church. And this is probably the best vantage point to see that. If you're standing here, you look around, it's all church. As you look through up to where the new part of the building is, you can still see all of the church. This is going to be what we would call really a Sunday best dining room. I think we had our wedding anniversary meal here.
The day those big 3 windows went in, I got a tear in my eye. It was just a lovely day, and it's just, you know, the light what came through the windows. It's just lovely.
There are moments where you just say we're so lucky to have this.
Absolutely.
I know we've made this vision happen, but when we look at it, it was so privileged to have a building like this to work with. We don't know of another building in this style that this has been done to. We didn't expect it to be as nice as this.
The shell of the church was so big, Shaun and Debs were able to build a sleek, modern 3-storey house within it. On the first floor, there are 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
This is the first floor landing with the first set of bedrooms on. We've got what we call the boys' bedroom, and then we have the girls' bedroom.
Shaun wanted to leave this as it is, which he obviously has got his own way. I prefer the finished look.
I still love the look of the stone, the finish. All it needs is a bit of a clean-up and sealing, and I think, yeah, it's a reminder of how the building was.
The cantilevered landing opens up to the amazing view of the main body of the church and the chancel. Then up another flight of stairs at the very top is their master bedroom.
Debs loves this room.
I do like this room. The space, just the windows. We don't have no curtains, and it's just lovely. It's lovely waking up in the morning.
At 3:30 when the sun gets up.
Yeah, that's the one. But it's just lovely. We love it.
And no luxury master suite would be complete without a luxurious ensuite bathroom.
This was the very first room we completed. This gives a little bit of heaven from being in a caravan. We could escape here, wrapped in a towel, up a ladder, into here to have a lovely warm shower. But we love this room. It's a lovely, peaceful bathroom. We can, you know, lie in the bath, look out the window, across the valley there. It's just a wonderful place. Because we tried to get things at a good price, and Deb's being the person she is for bartering, she managed to pick up this bathroom suite a little bit early, by about 8 months, 9 months. So yeah, it was stacked up.
Saw it, liked it and bought it, that's it. And
yeah.
It was, yeah, saw that work.
Part of the brief was when we said we wanted to build a house in the church. We wanted breathtaking views. Waking up in the morning, just stepping out here, it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the breathtaking parts of the build. We are so high up. Look down there and go, yeah, it's worth it. And then trot off down 4 flights of stairs to make a cup of coffee to come back up 4 flights of stairs. Everybody that comes up this far and has a look down thinks, wow, this is a view you just wouldn't have anywhere else.
Shaun and Debs have created a truly one-of-a-kind home. All the main building work is finished, and they should be extremely proud of what they've achieved, given they've restored a huge historic building and built a house within it in just 2 years.
Relieved.
Well, not so much relieved that it's finished, excited to enjoy it now as a house and a home. For so long it was a building site, we were in a caravan, but now we're beginning to enjoy it. Starting off as just an electrical engineer with a project like this was a bit daunting, but I've learnt so much. We've only worked with a handful of people over the last 2 years, But certainly I'm very confident now in just about every aspect of building work. We've had a hand in every part of the build. For us, that's a massive sense of achievement and reward.
And it's incredible to think they've done it all on schedule and on budget.
I think we budgeted 350 to 400, no more than 400. And we've been good. We've been really careful with what we've bought. We're still under budget. I know we've not quite finished yet, but we're happy with what we've spent.
We bought enough flooring in one go to do the whole project, even though we only had one floor to do. But it meant we saved thousands of pounds in flooring. And I think that's the way the whole ethos of the build was. But we offset me not earning at the cost of me project managing and doing the hands-on work. Yeah. And it's definitely been the better move than employing other people to do the work.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
As it's such a massive building with so many areas, it's unsurprising Shaun and Debs each have their own favourite space.
Oh, favourite spaces? Oh, Debs.
Mine. This kitchen. It's the hub of the house, isn't it? Yeah. Of our home.
It is very much.
And then I also like our bedroom, which is, it's just lovely, isn't it? It's just quiet.
A little sanctuary out of the way of everything.
I know what yours is.
I love the courtyard.
It's amazing.
It just takes you to a different place completely. You walk.
A bit of Venice.
Yeah, it's a bit of Italy, a bit of Venice, it's really continental. It's relaxing, the water feature with the water running. If you sit in the lounge and open the doors, we can, enjoy the tranquility of the water. Or if it's a lovely day because it's south-facing. We wanted to preserve this architecture because this is what we fell in love with. So we knew the decision was made not to make this massive house out of this big building, but to make a reasonable size house inside the church. Yeah. We tried to keep a bit of the church in every single room. Would we do this again?
Yeah, of course I would.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can we just choose somewhere with less wind and rain?
Chapel in Cyprus?
Spot on.